Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I am continuing on with my David Lynch marathon. I'm at the last of his films that I have. I don't have Inland Empire or The Straight Story, so I haven't watched those. But I am up to Mulholland Drive. I do like Mulholland Drive, but I think it's got a little bit of a revisionist elevation in his filmography, because I remember when this film came out, it was not considered the greatest film of his. It got a good reception. It made 20 million, cost 15 million, still wouldn't have made any money, but you know, people saw it. And I think because it is sort of seeing Hollywood through Lynch's sort of eyes and sort of his sort of world of living in Hollywood all these years and working in Hollywood, that I think because most critics and reviewers are sort of appreciative of film and Hollywood, or they wish they worked in it, I think it's sort of, they just really embraced it and they sort of elevated it, and now people are saying it's his greatest work and so forth. Now, my understanding was that this film was originally a pilot and that failed, and then they made it into a film, and that there were issues with it. And apparently there is a 90-minute version of the pilot that he hates, which was released on video that's out there. They went back and someone gave Lynch money to film an extra 18 pages that he added to it to turn it into a film. Now, whether that offers me solutions or just ask more questions, I'm not sure. But I found it fascinating that this was made at all, because how anyone thought after like Lost Highway and Wild at Heart and that, and Fire Walk with Me, I guess, that Lynch could actually do a TV series and do something that was something the general audience could accept, is just kind of shocking. Now, I know he did Twin Peaks, but he didn't do Twin Peaks on his own, and I think was it Mark Frost was the other guy. He basically reined Lynch in, and there's just enough Lynch to make it interesting and unique, but I think it's mostly him keeping it structured and cohesive, and he doesn't get any of the credit for it. People act like he kept Lynch back and it would have been greater for it, and there's these people who just really revere Lynch. And I think there's a narcissism to that, because he allows enough room for interpretation that people interpret the films and Lynch's work in their own way, which they see as amazing because of course it's their vision. So there's this weird sort of narcissism and arrogance that comes with sort of Lynch fans and so forth, and I've encountered that with Twin Peaks because I was critical of The Return, which I felt was a bit of a betrayal, and I found really personally frustrating, and I just didn't have a good experience with Lynch fans, and they're very gatekeepery and very so that sort of has sort of coloured my sort of view of Lynch's films looking back, and I think I retroactively sort of did that, and looking at them, they're better than I remember, and there's more to them than I remember, more that I didn't see at the time. So I watched all these films like once back in the day when I was a film student to study Lynch, and I've gone back and watched them now decades later with a few extra special features and analysis videos and that I've watched, and I do have a better understanding and appreciation of them, and I'm not necessarily sure if Lynch did disappear up his own ass like Tarantino said. I never liked Tarantino, so I don't know why I listened to him, but I think I resented Lynch after the Return, and I was happy to sort of write him off as being narcissistic and pretentious, and I don't think it is that. I think he's tried in his works to be vague enough to leave a lot of room for interpretation and that, but I think what I always suspected was that he also sort of created some sort of fake mysteries and things that people could get stuck in, and part of me doesn't like that and finds that sort of negative, and I sort of resent that, whereas other people would love it. They just indulge in it, they just get lost in this mystery that can never be solved. I find it's a bit of a cheat and a bit unfair to audiences, so if he's done that here and there, I kind of resent it, but for the most part he is exploring things through his own sort of world, and there are some genuine mysteries and there is levels and things, so the whole Lynch world is better than I remembered it. But this film itself, it starts off fairly simple. We start off with the jitterbug scene, and then the credits going down Mulholland Drive. The title is literally the sign lit up by headlights, which is what initially started Lynch's idea for this film. Then we have this accident where there's a woman in a limo, she's about to be killed, and some hooning teenagers crash into her car. She survives but has amnesia. She crawls down the hill. She goes down to Sunset Boulevard, and she goes into the apartment of a woman who's going away for a while. And then her niece, who is staying there, discovers her. She thinks that that's a friend of hers, and she discovers that she's not. And she asks her who she is. She says she doesn't know. She's got amnesia. And they try and uncover the mystery, of who she is. And those are my favourite scenes, that sort of sense of mystery, and not a Scooby Gang, there's only two of them, but these two people working together to solve this mystery rather than one person being a victim of a mystery and a reality. I liked that sort of camaraderie and friendship that was there, and I appreciated it for the most part in the film, where it's like, oh, there's no breasts, there's no objectified women, there's no misogyny, there's no women being abused. It's just these two friends trying to work out, who they are, and sort of the Hollywood dream, and one wanting to sort of, be an actor. And there's a naivety and surreal nature to that, but at the same time, there is a reality that sort of is creeping in. And the main interpretation of this film, which does sort of seem, true, is that it is a dream. Now, we are eventually introduced to this character, Diane. At first, we sort of see her as working in Winky's restaurant, and eventually we sort of see that this was a dream, and in the real world, she is just a lady who works in the restaurant, and she was an actress, an aspiring actress. She apparently failed. She's now working in a restaurant, and she's jealous of her ex-girlfriend who did become a successful actress, and she believes that between her sleeping with the director and all these other shady things in the background, in the dream you see all these allusions to people in the background operating everything and deciding who is in what film and how it all works. And I'm sure that's a paranoid element of David Lynch's own experiences in Hollywood, which is sort of fascinating to watch. But we have this scene where eventually we seem to, she seems to break, and she decides to have Diane killed because she's, have the character killed because she's jealous that she is with the director now. Now, I believe she ended the relationship, and maybe it's just the way she's flouting it, but maybe they're in the closet. Like, it does seem incredibly insensitive to announce in front of an ex that you're still friends with, that you're marrying this guy. And they asked how they met. She tells the story of how they went up for the same part and she got it, but she still helped her get some film work. And but so they've tried to be friends, even though she felt like she sort of stole this opportunity, and she had opportunities that she shouldn't have had, or she slept away at the top, or manipulated, or used her beauty, or whatever, enchanted men, or whatever. So there's that element, but they're still sort of friends. But then this is too much when she actually sort of announces the engagement. And she hires a guy, he kills a guy to get the black book to find out who's where and what. And eventually he says he's going to leave a key. When he's done the crime, she finds the key. She assumed that she's been killed. Now, whether this guy's trying to fool her into thinking she's been killed to get the money, or whether he actually thought she was killed, I don't know, because she goes missing. And there's a whole sort of element of the missing actress needing to be replaced, and they're deciding who's going to replace her, and that person who we do see in the real world, but in this is this actress played by Melissa George, Australia's Melissa George, who we love. And we see a picture of her at the start, then we see her doing this weird audition where all the actresses auditioning are singing songs, so it's not realistic. And this we sort of see when she's going on an audition, and after the audition they take her to this thing because they're taking her in, and they're sort of seeing how shady and two-faced it is. And she leaves this because she sort of is the hero, and she wants to help her friend, because the night before she remembered the name Diane, and she's like, I think it's Diane. So they go to this apartment, and in the apartment they find a dead body. And that's one of the elements that doesn't work for me. It's like, if this is a dream and then we see the reality, because she wakes up from the dream and she does seem to be taking drugs, and it's sort of is it hallucination, is it drug infused, but she seems to snap out of it. And in the dream, there's a key and money in the bag that Rita, which is the name the actress who is assassinated, takes on from a Rita Hayworth poster. This creature that we see also behind Winkies. Got to explain that story, don't I? There's a guy who has a dream about Winkies. There's a guy at the back who's afraid of him. His friend is there. He takes his friend there, and then the dream becomes reality. And is it a vision? Is it a dream they're making come true? They go out the back. They see this, what appears to be a homeless man, or sort of he appears monstrous, and the guy appears to die of a heart attack. Now this monster appears later in the film. He has a cube that then appears in Rita's purse when they go to this theatre, because she suddenly remembers Silencio. So they find this theatre called the Silencio, and they go there, and there's this performance where it's all fake, and they're saying it's all an illusion, it's not real. Basically, we're singing, but it's all recorded. And then there's a lady doing a number, and then she collapses halfway through. They drag her off, but the music keeps going because it's pre-recorded. And some people see this as her waking up from the dream, and the crying scene is because she doesn't want to go back to reality, because she's haunted by what she did. She's traumatized by what she did. She killed this woman out of jealousy, but she still loved her, and in the dream is her way of, sort of fantasizing that she gets the career, she gets the girl, and she gets to be the hero, and she can't handle what's happened. And the old couple that you see at the start that are there on the plane with Betty, and they wish her well, and then they seem sort of a little bit ominous, and then they end up coming out of the bag that the cube is in, that people sort of see this homeless man as some sort of dream master that is destroying dreams and creating dreams, and these little versions of them come out, and then they end up coming into her apartment and chasing her. She's having this hallucination. People see those as her parents and her aspirations, and the fact that she feels she's disappointed them, and she's sort of guilty, and they're sort of coming after her, and she can't handle. She's haunted by it, and she kills herself. And that's the other element that I had trouble with. When they go to Diane's apartment in the dream, they find a dead body, and I'm like, is that her? Is it meant to be her? Is it a vision of what happens, or what she's planning to do? Had she had thoughts of it? It doesn't totally hold up as a dream, because there are elements that happen that that she couldn't have seen, things that happen outside of her. And that's where I sort of get to this issue with Lynch, where is he creating problems that can't be solved and mysteries that can't be solved just so people have something to get stuck in? And is that a gift that people can just indulge in and get lost in and enjoy? Or is it something I kind of find frustrating and resent? So I'm really not sure. But for the most part, this is a dream of fantasy, but is there some other world that we're also exploring that the dream and the reality are a part of, or a symptom of, or something? It's unclear to me, and then I get to that point of feeling frustrated and feeling like, am I missing the clues? Is there something to really uncover here? Or does it not make sense deliberately because Lynch just wants to create that? Whether it's a sadistic thing to trap people in and torture people with, or whether it's a gift to give people where they can just indulge in it and project in it. Because you see a lot of Lynch critics and people analysing the films and basically saying, well, I've worked it out, I'm so smart, I've worked it out, and anyone else who thinks differently. And there's some narcissism to that, where a lot of these people, because you allow them to project into the film and give it their own meaning or their own solutions or whatever, people always think that their solution, their way of seeing this is the best. And I think that's why, on some level, journalists and critics have elevated this to his best film, because not only does it talk about their industry and their hopes and dreams that they had of going into film, the ones who failed and end up being critics, but it also sort of, I'm not really sure what it is, but they just seem to be projecting onto it. And I think it is a good film. There are elements of it, but then when they start having a sexual relationship, that ruined the friendship for me, because I liked the idea that these women weren't sexualized, they weren't objectified, they weren't, at least they're not being abused by anyone that's misogynistic. It does seem to be their own relationship that is being explored. But I would have liked, can't they just be friends? Do women always have to be sexualized? Can't they just be friends? They either have to be fighting or lesbians or something. They can't just be straight women enjoying each other's friends without serving men on some level, whether it's as a fantasy to like watch from the outside like lesbians, or whether it's by being, the objects, or I don't know. I'm getting lost, but I'm gonna go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of Mulholland Drive. Do you think that people have solved the mystery? Do you think I just am not smart enough to work it out? Or is it something that can't be worked out, and that's something that's by design? So, as a way of Lynch sort of holding his sort of reputation as creating mysteries, or is he just torturing people because he's just, a sadist? I'm really not sure. Let me know what you think of the film and my take. And I'm going to go and watch Fire Walk with Me, Twin Peaks, and then The Return